Greetings viewers and welcome back to Just Short of Fantastic. You'll notice that I am in a different location for this month's video. That's because it is the long holiday weekend and I am spending it in the RV at my parents' place out on the lake. So there you go. I just thought I'd change things up a little for you. Today we are doing a book report. It's been a long time because it's been a long time since I've read a book that just really got into my soul, that I felt was worth sharing with all of you. And boy howdy, is this one worth sharing. Without further ado, let's get started. This Is How You Lose the Time War is a science fiction novella written in collaboration by Amal, El-Mohtar, and Max Gladstone with themes of loneliness and longing. I honestly can't remember how this book ended up on my to-be-read list, but I was scanning my Goodreads bookshelf of library books, and it was available at my library, so I thought, what the heck? I had just finished reading The Emperor's Children by Claire Massoud, which is a very capital L literature book. I thought, why not? I need a palate cleanser, some wacky time travel shenanigans, and this book absolutely delivered. I started reading it, and in the words of Belle, I couldn't put it down. And I very rarely say that about books. Like, I'm busy. I have things to do. I have very exact scheduled times for reading, and I very rarely go over those scheduled times. Like, I'm not one of those people who will stay up all night reading a book because I just can't put it down. I will read my 30 minutes and then I will put it down. I'm very good like that. But this book, I started it and I could have finished it the day I started it. If I had not had other things to do that day, you best believe I would have finished this 198-page novella in a single sitting. It's that good. I don't say that about books very often, but from beginning to end, reading this book was like quenching a thirst after days of wandering in the desert. This book touched my soul in a way that very few books have managed. Red and Blue, our protagonists, are the top temporal agents of their respective organizations, locked in a war that spans all of time and space. They weave their way through timelines to thwart each other in battle. But they never actually meet. All of that changes when Red finds a letter from Blue. This sets the pair off on a taunting, twisting correspondence that eventually blossoms into a vulnerable and intimate conversation about loneliness, longing, and love. This book is so short and so vibrant that to choose a standout character or event would just be irrelevant. All of it stands out. It's amazing. Although I will say I found myself resonating a little bit more with Red, who is the agent from the post-singularity technotopia. Blue, in contrast, is an agent of a singular, vast, organic consciousness. This book is very simple on the surface, but if you dive into it, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of questions and themes that you could dive into if you were so inclined. I will not, because I want to keep this short and bright. Also, if you're a fan of Paul Chaper's New Albion verse, then this book captures a similar mania and queerness that I highly recommend. The novella opens in Red's perspective, and then she finds Blue's letter, and the next chapter is Blue's letter. Then we are sent through time and space to Blue's perspective, and then Red's responding letter. The novella follows this pattern, with one chapter being traditional prose and then the next chapter being one of the agent's letters. The prose sections are written in third person limited from one of the main character's perspectives, and then the letters are written in the first person, and they each capture the distinctive tone of Red and Blue. So Blue, being from that organic consciousness, reads a lot more organic. It's a lot more natural. She's very confident in her letter writing skills. She's the one who starts the letter writing. And Red, being from a technotopia, is a lot more perfunctory, at least in the beginning. She's unsure. She's a machine who's unfamiliar with letter writing. She has to look to guides and familiar structures. And that is an interesting thing all in its own that I won't spoil for you, but it's delightful. So they each have their own specific tones, and then they sort of, as the correspondence grows, each of them grows as well. And it's fun to watch the styles change as the characters evolve and intertwine. I absolutely adore epistolary novels, and while this book splits its time between traditional prose and the letters, I lingered over these letters. One reviewer described this book as poetry disguised as genre fiction, and that is a very accurate description. As someone who revels in letter writing in my personal life, I found this book deeply satisfying. Obviously, the pacing is... Published in 2019, this book is a queer tour de force. It cracked me open and poured itself into me. I felt simultaneously awash with love and hollowed out by despair when I finished it. Like I said, this book touched my soul in a way that very few books have. This is my modern Lord of the Rings, and I do not say that lightly. We are in an era of vibrant, unapologetic queer storytelling, and that is something to be so excited about. We may not yet be living in the best of all possible worlds, but with stories like this, I have to hope that we are planting the seed for our best future. Although it does raise important questions about the inescapability of oppressive systems, and that does not bode well for all of us dying under late-stage capitalism, but I said I was going to keep this review bright and happy, so save those questions for book club. But please do consider them. Recommended for queer readers looking for their next epic romance. Recommended for fans of the epistolary form. Recommended for lovers of poetry. And absolutely recommended for book clubs. And that has been my book report of This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal, El-Mohtar, and Max Gladstone. I hope you pick it up at your library. I hope you buy a copy. I will absolutely be buying myself a copy of this because I need to have it in my life available all the time. It's one of those books. And until next time, stay just short of fantastic.